So these are our students. So Elana and Eli are going to share their story. And I invited them to come because they spent a good amount of time on their birth plan. From all the births from their class that have given birth, Molly and Steve are kind of half class, but from all the classes they got the closest outcome from the birth plan that they wrote. So I invited them to come and give us their perspective on how they felt they did on their birth plan, but mostly tell you about the birth, what they liked, and it was amazing. So we'll see. You guys
I think what Christina just said is very important. We were the closest, but nobody had the perfect birth plan. You know, you write up this thing and you have all these visions of how it's going to happen, and it doesn't happen. But you just have to be ready for it, and that's the good thing about this class is you learn a lot of things, and you need to be ready for it.
Yeah, you have to be open and know what your options are, be aware of what's going on, and just kind of keep track of what you want. You know, it's going to be really hard when you get there because, you know, in the beginning we knew what we wanted, and then we got to a certain point and I wasn't even paying attention. I was too busy concentrating on myself, and so I was thinking, I hope everybody else is following the birth plan because I don't know what's going on. So, you know, I put the birth plan all on one sheet, you know, and I listed the important phone numbers that I thought should be on there. You know, I made sure it was one sheet, you know. I separated it between what I wanted for delivery and what I wanted for him whenever he was born, like if I wanted him to have shots and stuff like that. You know, we thought about it quite a bit. We talked about it, what we wanted on there, and it seemed to come pretty easy. You know, I mean, there's so many options out there, you know, on the internet, and the Bradley class gives you a lot of good information on what you may or may not want, and you take from it what you want. So I asked Dean, you know, I'm like, what should we do? Because labor hadn't started, nothing was going on, and he's like, well, let's try to get, you know, let's try to get stuff going on. So we did massages, we did quite a bit of walking, you know, I did thumb sucking, I did nipple stimulation.
Well, her water broke at 8 in the morning, roughly 8 in the morning. And she goes, I think my water broke. And I'm like, oh great, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's still 2 weeks until the baby's supposed to be coming. And that night it rained, so there was low pressure system. She took a super hot shower. She's like, oh, that felt so good. And then she hops out of the shower and she's standing there and goes, looks down, my water broke.
I think my water just broke.
Yeah.
He goes, no it didn't. Because I had been joking with him earlier. Oh, my water broke. No, I'm just kidding. So then when it actually did, I was no, I am serious. I think it just...
Try to stimulate contractions. Of course, you start all the easy, normal stuff. Let's just walk.
Yeah.
Because thumb sucking and nipple stimulation don't sound like normal, fun things to do, and they're not.
Yeah. Thumb sucking is weird, you know, because you're just sitting there sucking your thumb, hoping that something happens, you know.
But every hour that passed, we got a little more desperate, and they're like, what should we try now? And I'm texting Christina.
Yeah, and then, like every hour we're trying to, what next, Christina? You know, what should I do? And so, and, you know, I tried to rest in between it, tried to take a break, you know, and I was like, man, I was pretty discouraged. I was pretty upset. So I called the doctor, like, I waited right till the 12th hour, and then I called the doctor, and it was the on-call doctor, who is the backup for my doctor, and she was really upset. She was like, I can't believe you waited, you need to get to the hospital, you know, you're group strep B, you know, you've risked all this, you've taken this risk for infection, all this stuff. So
we get to the hospital around 11 at night.
Yeah. And the triage nurse is like, oh, we need to start you on Pitocin right away. We need to get your antibiotics going. We need to do all this stuff. And
triage was 3 hours, so we got in our room about 2 in the morning.
Yeah, but the triage nurse was the one who was like, you need to get on Pitocin. And we said, well, you know, we'd really prefer not to. We want to wait and see if, I'm still hoping that my body's going to take over. And the doctor made me sign a waiver going against medical advice. And so So I said, okay, you know, I'll sign the waiver and I'll wait till my doctor comes on call, which is like 6 o'clock in the morning. So for about 4 hours, we just rested. I mean, that, and in hindsight, that was the best thing that we did. We got into the room and we just slept, you know, and then my doctor called and she said, you shouldn't have done that. You should have gone on Pitocin. We need to get your body moving because...
Exactly 6 o'clock, she called, she told her, you need to get on Pitocin.
5 minutes later.
As soon as she said that, the nurse is walking in with the bag to hang on the
Well, and she said, because I already called the nurses up front, you know, she's like, you need to get started. So then every hour, on the half hour, they'd come in, they'd crank up the Pitocin, you know, the percentage or whatever. So I went on like that for about
3 hours or so.
Yeah. I mean, it went on like that for the most of the day, but around probably 2-3 hours, Christina shows up, my sister shows up, so we've got an audience, and we're just kind of hanging out and waiting, you know, waiting for it, because I started having contractions, and they were like 45 seconds, maybe 2 minutes apart, you know, they weren't very hard, and they were just...
They weren't consistent.
I was just sitting in the bed, just kind of hanging out. And then whenever they really started kicking in, we started doing different positions. You know, I sat on the ball for a little bit. I sat on the toilet.
They gave her.
I did child's pose in the bed.
And she wanted to go for a walk, so they put on the remote monitor.
Yeah, that was the you know, that's what broke the camel's back, was going for the walk. You know, Christina's like, I think you need to go for a walk. You know, she kept kind of, you sure you don't want to go for a walk? So I was like, okay, I'll go for a walk. So then we all got up. We got the remote monitors, and we walked out. Me and my sister and Christina.
That's where I tried coaching her sister. You know, she likes this, and again, you practice all this stuff here, but when it comes to the birth, first birth, you don't know what's going to work, what's not going to work, what you're going to like.
Right.
Just have to go through the list, I guess.
And like before the walk, I had gotten checked and I was at 5 centimeters. And I don't remember what station or how far down. I don't remember any of that. I just remember I was at 5 centimeters. And so I was a little...
You only got checked 4 times, 3 times, or 4 times?
I got checked 3 times. I got checked once at triage, and I was at 2 centimeters, and she said that was being liberal. She was like, you're barely 2. And so, you know, it was really discouraging, because she's like, you're not even dilated, you know. And so I got pretty upset about that, and then my sister was asking the nurse, can you check her? And then Christina's like, are you sure you want to be checked? And I said, well, I don't want to get discouraged. But I ended up getting checked anyway, and I was at 5 centimeters. So I was like, 5 more to go. And then we went for the walk, and then they were coming on really strong. You know, I was definitely starting to work through them, having to practice my relaxation.
Double and triple peaking.
Yeah.
And then that's when we cranked on the soft tunes, elevator music, and everybody was pretty quiet. Kind of do some massage and relaxation. So the Pitocin kept going, and her contractions kept getting stronger, longer, and more consistent. And then they got to a point where they thought they were going to self-sustain, so they took the Pitocin off. And then Elana goes, "Go ahead, do it." How calm were you?
I think I have to push.
I have to push, I'm not sure. And,
That's what I said.
There's normally a huge swing in mood and temperament and everything else.
Yeah, you know.
That didn't happen.
I don't know if have you guys gotten to page 36, you know, where there's all the things that you need to know about what's going to happen.
That didn't happen with her.
Do you guys remember what she did do? The only thing you did was burp.
Burp.
That's it. And I have never seen anybody transition like that. But
Back in the door, my sister's like, she says she has to push. Christina walks up, she goes, are you sure you have to push? Because you are awfully calm for someone who has to push. I said, I think I have to push. Well, actually, I said, oh, I don't know, maybe not. And then like, it was like maybe a minute later, I was like, I gotta push. I really gotta push. It's there, you know, I gotta push. And so then the nurse came in and she checked me. She's like, you're complete. And so, and that was 2 hours from when I was 5 centimeters to when I was complete. I had progressed within 2 hours, just waiting it out. And then the doctor walks in, you know, they reposition me, everything happens, and then she's like, okay, push. And I'm like, I don't have to.
That 15 minutes is like Army precision. They have so many nurses come in. The nurses for the babies get everything ready. The incubator, I call it, the heating table prepared and turned on. And then the nurses for delivery come in and they get everything ready. And this bed transforms.
Yeah, the bed's like moving down and they're pulling me and pushing me and you know, this whole time I'm having contractions and I'm trying not to push, and then the minute that they're like, okay, push.
She couldn't push. She didn't have to push.
I was like, I don't have to. I go, I guess I got stage fright. I don't know, because everybody's staring at you. You know, okay, push. He said, you know, there's all these things that you're going to read about, you know, take 2 breaths, your 3rd breath, you know, you're going to push out, you know, this is what you need to do. So, you know, try to think about the one thing that you're going to do. So the nurse told me, she said, she goes, okay, now you're going to feel the head crown and you don't want to stop. You want to push all the way through. So that was the one thing I remember. So I pushed on the contraction and his head came out. And then everybody said, okay, breathe. So I came up to breathe and his little hand popped out and everybody said, keep pushing. So I pushed him out. So it was maybe 2 pushes and
One,
he was out.
my friend, one. It was 2 pushes, but it was 1 contraction.
Yeah.
And then they put, it kind of goes your way and it kind of doesn't. So that's one place where your emotions are just out of control and you're lost in the moment. And it happens so quick. They're like, baby's on the chest. They're wiping him down. You're cutting the cord. You know, they did wait till it stopped pulsating.
Yeah.
So that was fine. But then they wanted to take him pretty quick. And in my mind, it seemed like, man, that was quick. Not kind of what we wanted for our birth plan. But again, we were lost in the moment.
So, I mean, that's one thing that's good about a doula is they make sure, no, you know, she still wants to hold on to the baby or whatever. And you know, to me, it wasn't a big deal because they had mentioned, you know, what he swallowed, and so I prefer that they take care of him and make sure he was okay. So it wasn't a big deal that they took him, you know. But overall, I think we had a really good experience. One thing we did do that I was thankful for is we went to REI and we bought a bunch of energy bars and gels and like the gummies and all kinds of stuff. So we had them all shoved in our bag. And when we got to the room, the first thing I asked the nurse was, can I eat? And she said, no, all you can have is ice chips. So, you know, we would have been in the room for at least 24 hours. And I couldn't eat anything, you know. So, you know, on the side, you know, Dean's over there feeding me gummies and stuff because they were a little boost of energy. So that was. And I mean, this may sound cliche or whatever, but I honestly believe that we wouldn't have been able to make it. It wouldn't have been the experience we wanted it to be if we hadn't gone through Bradley to figure out what we wanted. You know, it was a really good experience to come through Bradley and find out what all our options are, what's going to happen to my body, you know, all this stuff, and it's great for him because. Besides the coaching part, he actually understands what's happening to you. So,